Join us in Ethiopia from the 29th of December 2025 to the 7th of January 2026 for our Ethiopian Christmas tour. From the city to the south, from Addis Ababa to Shashamane, 10 days and 10 exciting nights experiencing the land of origins. This is an amazing tour, compact, concise, and precise. It includes the parks, Entoto Park, Friendship Park, Unity Park, the museums, the Science Museum, National Museum, the Red Terror and the Addis Ababa Museum, plus the Addis Ababa University Palace of Emperor Haile Selassie I, which is also a museum, Maskell Square, Menelik's palaces, plus so much more. Battle of Adwa Museum. Then southwards to Sidamo, we will visit the residence of the Emperor, the sulfur baths, and make sure you bring your hiking gear as we will be hiking to the waterfalls. This tour is all inclusive. Your meals, your accommodations, transportation, plus your security, all provided for. For a limited time, we are offering a 30% discount on this already economical tour. Only $1,680 with a 50% down payment will register you for the Ethiopian Christmas tour. For more information, to see our itinerary, or to book your space, email us priestisaacinstitute@gmail.com. That's priestisaacinstitute@gmail.com. Payments can also be made utilizing PayPal, Cashapp, Zelle, and much more. The Ethiopian Christmas tour, from the city to the south. I will see you there. I mean, we're speaking of a sister that stood up for us. Yeah, she stood up for herself, but she is a symbol of resistance to all of us. And I always ponder how many of us came together and said, let us put something in order so we can send some financial strength to Sister Assata Shakur all the way in Cuba. She's a top terrorist, according to the United States government. In a moment, you're going to hear a member of the FBI at the time literally refer to his sister, because he's a black brother, to his sister, his name was Mr. Ford, to his sister Assata Shakur as a terrorist. And she killed and murdered the police officer execution style. That is not true. You're going to hear for yourself the words of Sister Assata Shakur, that she had her hands up and she was shot twice in her arm and she was shot in her back even when she was down. Can you imagine that? Now, this is very serious, royal family. Again, we are very thankful for the sister. We are celebrating her life. Again, she would have passed about 3 weeks ago. Mighty warriors amongst us. She was a member of the Black Panther Party for a moment. You heard in the documentary that we played that she specifically did not stay amongst them because she thought that they were not really open to criticism. But listen, royal family, what we're going to do this evening is to listen to her own words. The letter that she wrote the Pope was because the U.S. government asked the Pope on his visit to Cuba to encourage the Castro government to send her back, extradite her to America so that they could continue their abuse of Sister Assata Shakur. She was in the vehicle when the police stopped them. Now, this was in 1973, 1973. And the officer that got murdered, it was on the 40th anniversary of him being killed that they actually brought a next $1 million on the head of Sister Assata Shakur. She was worth $2 million now as a bounty, Sister Assata Shakur. This was done in 2013. This was under the presidency of Barack Hussein Obama. All of these things, we have to put them into perspective. So yes, I said he was murdered because in truth and in fact, the word is that it is his own police comrade's bullet that killed him, as well as Brother Shakur that died as well that evening. Bless his soul as well. Listen to me, honorable family, to say that she murdered that man execution style. And again, she said she had her hands up. 1973, that was. You heard in the documentary that we just ran for you a moment ago that it was in 1977 officially she was charged and but she escaped in 79. And listen to this, she was on the ground, not on the ground, but on the ground, for 4 to 5 years. So they could not even find her, and she was in America. And then she escaped to Cuba. What a marvelous story, eh? Glory, his story, our glory. And then she was abused tremendously, like a Winnie Madikizela in prison, handcuffed to the bed. Even the same night they shot her 3 times, they were kicking her and beating her. Can you imagine this? She escaped. The great escape. All gangsters and criminals and convicts should idolize the great mother, the great escape. So, royal family, we will be going into her speech. You will hear it from her own words, her own voice. And let me remind everyone once again, we are relaunching the holistic whole food store. Family, even being in Ethiopia, I come to understand the importance of nutrition. This is why we are officially launching right here in Addis Ababa, the holistic whole food store. Now, many of you are already familiar with our holistic whole food store, but we are doing it on another level. We are bringing out an official magazine, which is like a catalog, which will be highlighting all the different nutritious products that you can get right here at the Priest Isaac's Institute of Holistic Knowledge, our holistic whole food store. So again, remember, you can get your nuts, your almond nuts, your cashew nuts, your pistachio nuts, and even if you want them in your butter form, your cashew butter, your almond nut butter. I love the butters. I'm telling you, all natural, 100% organic. Your syrups, your agave, your maple syrups, your honey, and remember, you can get it in bulk, in jars, in buckets. Let me remind you, we are launching this officially to bring to the restaurants. So if you have a restaurant or a supermarket anywhere in the world, we can definitely ship the product to you. Now again, there are those of you who are already on board with us and you already get your cashews maybe in your little package, and your almonds and your dried fruits, your cranberries, and of course your blueberries and your dates, all of that, your legumes, your peas, and of course your lentils and your chickpeas, and even the products for your beautification, your natural soaps, your turmeric soaps, and your oatmeal soaps, and your natural oils, your olive oils, and your coconut oils, and your grains, your quinoa, and your millet, and so forth and so fifth. Family, I cannot be speaking of this all night long. All you have to do is contact us and we will send you all the information that you need. We will send you the catalog. Of course, the magazine will be available. All the information you need. The Honorable Empress Naya is definitely willing to correspond with you and take your order, and your food and your supplies and whatever else you desire will be delivered to you in short order. I'm speaking about the official relaunch. Look for it. Much more coming from the holistic health food store, definitely reminding you that we are still here. Make sure you do your best to get your nutritious and upful food right from us. Very good. So give thanks again, priestisaacinstitute at gmail.com. All right, let's get to the letter to the Pope from Sister Assata Shakur.
Today's show looking at the case of Assata Shakur, a legendary figure within the Black Panther Party and the Black Liberation Army. On Thursday, she became the first woman ever to make the FBI's most wanted terrorist list. In addition, the FBI in the state of New Jersey doubled the reward for her capture to $2 million. Shakur was convicted in the May 2nd, 1973 killing of a New Jersey state trooper during a shootout that left one of her fellow activists dead. She was shot twice by police during the incident. In 1979, she managed to escape from jail, and she later fled to Cuba, where she received political asylum. She has long proclaimed her innocence. On Thursday, FBI Special Agent Aaron Ford spoke at a press conference announcing Shakur's placement on the most wanted terrorist list. He refers to Shakur as JoAnne Chesimard, her original name.
Now, listen to this. This is a black brother speaking here.
Openly and freely in Cuba, she continues to maintain and promote her terrorist ideology. She provides anti-U.S. government speeches espousing the Black Liberation Army message of revolution and terrorism. No person, no matter what his or her political or moral convictions are, is above the law. JoAnne Chesimard is a domestic terrorist who murdered a law enforcement officer execution style.
Wow, now hold on there, Sister Amy. Now, that is horrible. And we all know that is not true. And he knows that is not true. Up to this day, if he's still around, he knows that's a lie. The whole world knows the story. She murdered him execution style. Imagine that. And the thing is, family, you need to understand, this is very important. Many of us, we are sleeping. We still into the Easter Bunny and Halloween, Santa Claus, and even if we think we're not into that, we still, we're still okay. We love it here and everything. Listen to what he is saying. He's saying she's a terrorist. And she's in Cuba spouting her Black liberation agenda. Wow, so what's wrong with a Black liberation agenda? What you saying, brother? And she's a murderer. She killed the police execution style. She didn't even just kill the police in self-defense or she fired a shot. Execution style. As if she came with, a hood on her head like the Undertaker. Execution style. And he has some fellas around him looking at him as like if they're too nice and nodding their head in agreement. Let's continue.
FBI Special Agent Aaron Ford. In a moment, we'll be joined by two guests, the scholar and activist Angela Davis, who faced her own murder trial decades ago.
FBI specialist, Mr. Ford.
And Lennox Hines, Assata Shakur's longtime attorney for some 40 years. But first, we turn to Assata Shakur in her own words. In 1998, Democracy Now! Aired her reading an open letter to Pope John Paul II during his trip to Cuba. She wrote the message after New Jersey state troopers sent the Pope a letter asking him to call for her extradition.
My name is Assata Shakur, and I was born and raised in the United States. I am a descendant of Africans who were kidnapped and brought to the Americas as slaves. I spent my early childhood in a racist, segregated South. I later moved to the northern part of the country, where I realized that black people were equally victimized by racism and oppression. I grew up and became a political activist, participating in student struggles, the anti-war movement, and most of all, in the movement for the liberation of African Americans in the United States. I later joined the Black Panther Party, an organization that was targeted by the COINTELPRO program, a program that was set up by the Federal Bureau of Investigation to eliminate all political opposition to the U.S. government's policies, to destroy the black liberation movement in the United States, to discredit activists, and to eliminate potential leaders. Under the COINTELPRO program, many political activists were harassed, imprisoned, murdered, or otherwise neutralized. As a result of being targeted by COINTELPRO, I, like many other young people, was faced with the threat of prison, underground, exile, or death. The FBI, with the help of local police agencies, systematically fed false accusations and fake news articles to the press, accusing me and other activists of crimes we did not commit. Although in my case the charges were eventually dropped or I was eventually acquitted, the national and local police agencies created a situation where, based on their false accusations against me, any police officer could shoot me on sight. It was not until the Freedom of Information Act was passed in the mid-'70s that we began to see the scope of the United States government's persecution of political activists. At this point, I think that it is important to make one thing very clear. I have advocated, and I still advocate, revolutionary changes in the structure and in the principles that govern the United States. I advocate self-determination for my people and for all oppressed people inside the United States. I advocate an end to capitalist exploitation, the abolition of racist policies, the eradication of sexism, and the elimination of political repression. If that is a crime, then I am totally guilty. To make a long story short, I was captured in New Jersey in 1973 after being shot with both arms held in the air and then shot again from the back. I was left on the ground to die, and when I did not, I was taken to a local hospital where I was threatened, beaten, and tortured. In 1977, I was convicted in a trial that can only be described as a legal lynching. In 1979, I was able to escape with the aid of some of my fellow comrades. I saw this as a necessary step, not only because I was innocent of the charges against me, but because I knew that the racist legal system in the United States, I would receive no justice. I was also afraid that I would be murdered in prison. I later arrived in Cuba, where I am currently living in exile as a political refugee. The New Jersey State Police and other law enforcement officials say they want to see me brought to justice. But I would like to know what they mean by justice. Is torture justice? I was kept in solitary confinement for more than 2 years, mostly in men's prisons. Is that justice? My lawyers were threatened with imprisonment and imprisoned. Is that justice? I was tried by an all-white jury without even the pretext of impartiality and then sentenced to life in prison plus 33 years. Is that justice? Let me emphasize that justice for me is not the issue I am addressing here. It is justice for my people that is at stake. When my people receive justice, I am sure that I will receive it too.
That is an excerpt of a letter Assata Shakur read, an open letter to Pope John Paul II during his trip to Cuba in 1998.
Join us in Ethiopia from the 29th of December 2025 to the 7th of January 2026 for our Ethiopian Christmas tour. From the city to the south, from Addis Ababa to Shashamane, 10 days and 10 exciting nights experiencing the land of origins. This is an amazing tour, compact, concise, and precise. It includes the parks, Entoto Park, Friendship Park, Unity Park, the museums, the Science Museum, National Museum, the Red Terror and the Addis Ababa Museum, plus the Addis Ababa University Palace of Emperor Haile Selassie I, which is also a museum, Maskell Square, Menelik's palaces, plus so much more. Battle of Adwa Museum. Then southwards to Sidamo, we will visit the residence of the Emperor, the sulfur baths, and make sure you bring your hiking gear as we will be hiking to the waterfalls. This tour is all inclusive. Your meals, your accommodations, transportation, plus your security, all provided for. For a limited time, we are offering a 30% discount on this already economical tour. Only $1,680 with a 50% down payment will register you for the Ethiopian Christmas tour. For more information, to see our itinerary, or to book your space, email us priestisaacinstitute@gmail.com. That's priestisaacinstitute@gmail.com. Payments can also be made utilizing PayPal, Cashapp, Zelle, and much more. The Ethiopian Christmas tour from the city to the south. I will see you there.